Such funky slide guitar music that comes out every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil FB Network YouTube. Check us out, subscribe, type an iNewsWire. Of course, we'll join the mighty at 1490 AM at the bottom of the hour, as we usually do on this Flamer Up Fast and Furious Friday. You see the humongous crash that was at Meridian Speedway in the Wing 360 sprint car race. We'll get to that in a second. Trump signs executive order dropping the 9 gazillion kids vaccines down to 11. We'll have the report on that. Coming up, the heartbreaking story and update of the F word, Fauci, and the murderous history that I believe, and I think many others and most people now, believe the blood of millions is directly on the hands of Anthony Fauci. WNBA commissioner is reviewing what is the definition of a woman. The Women's National Basketball Association. As Royce White and a couple other dudes said, hey, I'm Roycino White. I'm declaring myself eligible for the NBA draft. We'll catch that story in a bit. Train burglary, train robbers in the IE. I thought we were done with that, but no, it seems to be making a comeback. On top of that, we'll get to the race report. Again, we'll get to this horrific crash at Meridian Speedway here in a second. The Front Row Challenge, we'll get to the race report. The Front Row Challenge at Oskaloosa, Iowa State Fair Speedway. Big half mile. Kyle Larson started out. Well, not so great. Here we go.
Climb his way up through the running order. Remember that qualifying inversion, putting him back a ways. In fact, having to come from the 6th spot. Oh, no!
Leader spinning. The left rear tire coming off in the car number 57.
Looked like maybe the axle broke.
Yes. Not only did the left rear tire came out, as they said, the axle completely broke on Kyle Larson Monday night in Oski. The first of the horrendous crashes involved Mr. Macedo. Thank you.
And Macedo with a horribly torn up number 41. Good news, we can see him moving around inside of the car as safety crews quickly making their way up to 10 to the driver of the number 41. He will come out and, man, Oski picks up the base into turn number 4. They'll bring it around to the front straight.
That was a pretty nasty flip by Mr. Macedo. Take note of the car color, because they weren't done crashing at the famed half mile at Oskaloosa. Here we go.
Racing broadcast from the drone. Gets up man. Boy, he hooked that cushion and that car just turned and burned.
He was higher than the fence. Ryan Timms will bring.
So there was another dude that in the green car. Green wasn't necessarily your friend, and there's the old superstition of green race cars, which has been pretty much debunked or has went out of style, that you're going to have bad luck. You're going to die if you race a green race car. Here's some more of the action. The Front Row Challenge, the main event. Ryan Timms and Kyle Larson.
Down to 0.422 between first and second.
Exit at turn number 2. He's actually going up. He's using the wall.
He is. I saw it right there. He kind of bounced it up off the guardrail. Look at the run. Big move there.
Oh, contact.
The nose wing bash.
Again, I think Ryan Timms has got a great big gripe of what Kyle Larson did. If you're the passee, it's up to you not to run into or crash the passer. Kyle Larson's a great enough, he could have took another lap and set him up. He was way back there and just made a bonsai charge and took out Ryan Timms' front wing, almost wrecked him in the process. More from the Front Row Challenge, the last lap. Remember, Kyle Larson broke an axle, believe in qualifying there. But as we saw him charge to the front, here's the final lap.
The final time, checker flag is going to fly. The 3rd year in a row, the 6th time in his career, Kyle Larson is the champion of the Front Row Challenge.
So they move on, I think, Marshalltown tomorrow, and then the Knoxville Nationals start on Wednesday with the qualifiers. Larson is scheduled to go off Thursday on the qualifier night. It doesn't look like, unless the possibility of rain rolls out, that he will make the Knoxville Nationals, because he'll be racing the Cup cars in Richmond Saturday night. But you never know how that will all work out. Rob Grice, as we saw at Meridian Speedway, you saw the intro pictures. Here's a photo shoot from Elevate Motorsports. Here we go. There you see it. Boom, the one. There's the big fiery crash and the ending of it as she goes down. Rob Grice didn't seem to suffer any serious injuries and walked away from that horrific crash at the 360 Sprint Cars at Meridian Speedway in Meridian, Idaho. Who'd have thought? I like the idea, and promoters to get people to the track. I think this is a great idea. $2 Busch Lights at State Line Speedway up in Idaho. A bucket of 7 for $18. I just bought 7 Busch Lights at $2 a piece. I don't know. Sounds like $14 to me, but $13 refills. I guess that's of the bucket. So if you get another 7, you're up to 30. So 14, you're still $2 to the good if you'd have bought 14 $2 Busch Lights. I don't know, maybe you get to keep the bucket and that's worth something. But I love the idea. Love the idea. More promoters need to start doing this. $2 Busch Lights. Get them in the stands, for crying out loud. Donnie Kazarian and Paris Auto Speedway, are you listening? Man, oh man. Nostalgia picture of the day. Gary Koster on his way to the hospital at Calistoga in 1968. Parked her out in the trees. Calistoga Speedway coming back. Tim Richmond. He got into big trouble for this. Last lap was 40 years ago, 86. Watkins Glen Speedway. On the last lap, he pulls down the window net
It's still about a 1 second lead for Tim Richmond, but
And waves
he's
to the
looking
crowd.
very, very strong.
On the white flag lap.
Corner number 7. Tim Richmond
See, you
is
see,
about to win the Budweiser at the
he's
Glen.
waving
He
to
raises
the
his hands,
crowd.
comes off the 7th corner, gets a little bit sideways. The back tire's off the course, but it doesn't make any difference. Tim Richmond has won the Budweiser at the Glen.
You got to say Tim Richmond was a showman, on top of being one of the best NASCAR drivers ever. Of course, his life was cut short the next year or two over AIDS. He did come back in 87. One more shot on the race report. The famous ride on the fence. Here we go. Up on the wall and back down. That was one heck of a ride back in the day. That was 7 years ago. No, 8 years ago. Logan Seavey up on top of the wall. And back down. We'll catch up more of the rest of the day's regular news on the rest of today's show. It's ironic, especially those in the smarter half of the population. You know, you retards. You just don't know what you're talking about. We don't know how to define a man and a woman. Oh, that could be this fluid and all this, and you can be what you can decide. You're a man today, a woman tomorrow, furry creature. And you wonder why us in the retarded half of the population are walking around half confused every day. Women's National Basketball Association, which wouldn't exist, which would not exist if it was not for the National Basketball Association, which is 111% male players. Because they are physically stronger, bigger, better athletes than the smarter half of the population. So they created the WNBA and financed it like Title IX and all that, the college and the high schools, and we're destroying that. Breaking news. WNBA commissioner announces a league is meeting to review what a woman is after multiple former NBA stars announce plans to join the league. So when you become a old and decrepit half of the retarded half of the population, well, let's go pick on the girls or the WNBA. Royce White changed his name to Roycina or something or other White. 2 or 3 other dudes said, yeah, we're declaring ourselves eligible for the WNBA draft. Well, now the commish saying, well, wait a minute, maybe we need to define what is a woman. How many times we said we're racist, Neanderthal men, all you want to do is grab women by the hair and drag them in the bedroom and all that other crap. Now we're going to define a woman as far as sports because If they allow Roycina White and those others in the WNBA, will just be a retirement league for former NBA players of the retarded half of the population. For Christ's sakes. For Christ's sakes. Can we, as a society, get our ass together? Ladies, we're not completely freaking imbeciles like you think we are. We're saying, you know what? You know, we may be retarded. We can tell the difference between a man and a woman. We can define that. We can also tell you, you are not physically stronger than us. Don't blame us. We didn't create us. We didn't create society. We didn't create human beings. We're just living in it. We're living in our role as we were defined. So quit driving everybody crazy. I mean, how much more of this issue are we going to have to deal with? Sonia Shaw running for state superintendent as president of the Chino Valley School District Board. Here we go. We thought.
Things. This is why we're here. This flag right here unites us all. It stands for all of us. The United States represents all of us. And I do want to say something. A teacher who has to display sexuality in their classroom, that's a problem for me as a parent, and that's a problem for me as a board member. Period. Dot. I was put in this position to make sure our kids stay safe, all kids. I was put in this position by parents. This has caused a divide. This has caused a divide, and we need to get something certain.
So let's knock off the sexualizing kids. We know what a boy and a girl is. We know what a man and a woman is. We know the consequences and why we didn't mix them up in bathrooms and locker rooms and sports and everything else. Now, there's no problem with boys and girls learning math or English or science together. In fact, that is very healthy. It is not healthy, not good for society, and it's not even close to being reality. There are differences between men and women. Again, I, or us in the retarded half of the population, didn't design this. We're just living in it. Accept that. Jiminy Christmas. How far down the toilet has our society gone? I don't know if we get to it today. The helicopter parents. Other people walking down the street having a heart attack because an 8-year-old is riding his bike to the park. Unassisted. Oh, he doesn't have the 8th Cavalry escorting him to the freaking park. Look at the damage we're doing, not to kids, to society. No wonder they can't function. No wonder they can't get a job. No wonder, with all the stuff that we're doing to them, it's not 111% their fault. It's probably not a lot of their fault. We created this society where, oh, there's no harm going to be. Oh, we're going to watch over you 24/7, 365. Pretty soon, You have a society that can't function. You have people that cannot function. They cannot deal with the reality of living. Vaya freaking caramba of this stuff going on. And we're doing this to ourselves. It's about time we have some balls and say we're not doing this, not no, but hell freaking no. And we, like Trump said, we're gonna drill California oil onshore, offshore till it bleeds out. We're not going to put up with stupidity anymore. We're not going to... 72 vaccines is insane for kids. You roll it back to 11. We'll get into a lot more of this, hopefully in today's show. The news stacks up like lumberjacks with the biggest chainsaws you ever had. It's uncanny what's going on, but we'll break down the most of it in the next half hour when we join the Mighty Met KMET. Because there's just a humongous amount of just absolute madness, insanity that we have to deal with.
About 30 seconds, Roy.
And we will get to it in less than 30 seconds, as Sean has said. Man. One day, keep thinking, it is. We're going to rain down gold and diamonds. Everything will just be the Wizard of Oz.
Here we go. 10 seconds.
All in Fort America. PatriotSwitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday. Live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join your vast video audience on the Evil Epi Network YouTube. Check us out. Type in IE Newswire Roy Bleckert. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face. Subscribe. Do all that good stuff. At the absolute 100% race report. Topped off by this harrowing picture of Rob Grice launching her into the catch fence at Meridian Speedway in Idaho in the 360 sprint car race. He did walk away from that. Kyle Larson breaking an axle, flat running into Ryan Timms and winning the Oski Challenge of that. And that's the way I saw it. I always said it is a responsibility of the passer not to hit the passee. As great as Kyle Larson is, he doesn't have to do that kind of stuff. He would have won the race had he took another lap, passed Ryan Timms cleanly. That was at the Oski Challenge, Front Row Challenge in Iowa. I think they're racing tonight in Marshalltown. Then Wednesday starts the Knoxville Nationals at the Mecca of sprint car racing in Knoxville, Iowa, in the famed half mile. You'll go Wednesday to Saturday, culminating with the Knoxville Nationals, $250,000, I believe, to the winner of that. And the all-time greatest, most prestigious sprint car race left in the United States. We had the whole Anthony Fauci hearings with Rand Paul in the Senate on the COVID con, and we know the hoo-haws and wherefores and all the ramifications that have and are coming out of that. Our esteemed 45th and now 47th President, Donald J. Trump, rolled back the amount of mandated or whatever recommended vaccinations for kids 18 from a insane amount, 72 or whatever, to 11. Here's the signing ceremony at the White House today.
This is your executive order on establishing gold standard vaccine recommendations, sir. As previous speakers have indicated, this is going to establish essentially a new vaccine schedule that is fully informed by the research and data that we have from HHS and NIH and other aspects of the government. It also takes a very hard line on some of the more paternalistic issues that we've been talking about here, sir, in terms of infringing on parents' religious liberty, or really just parents' ability to make decisions for their children. So as Heidi said, this is a very big deal. We're not waiting for anyone else to take action, as you do so often, sir. We're just going ahead and doing the right thing based on all of the best available research to ensure that America's parents and children are being as best protected by the federal government as they can be.
Very good. Thank you very much.
There's the great Donald J. inking some sanity in policy, rolling back the 72 vaccine recommendation for kids to 11.
That's a big one in my book.
It is, and he's correct. Add Bobby Kennedy Jr. there, HHS Secretary, outgoing CDC Director Jay Bhattacharya, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller, Heidi, and the crew. Finally. And people gripe about, and I've got my problems with Trump, the Epstein files, the Iran whole fiasco, not keeping Doge on the job. But can you imagine if Kamala Harris was done? It would be 72 up to 144 and climbing vaccines for kids. Kids, by the time they got to 18, would be lucky if they could keep their frickin' eyelids open at the way we're going. So at least from my perspective, you got to give credit where credit is due. And Trump's doing in a lot of areas like this, voting, voter ID, signing the executive orders and stuff. He's doing what he can do, trying to get this stuff done. He's got Thune blocking not only the voter ID, but his recess appointments, getting people in the cabinet. So thank you, Donald J. Trump, for putting some sanity and a future back in kids' lives. We now know what the recent Senate hearings with Rand Paul, chair. Some kids never got a future. They never got to spend a day, a minute, a second on God's green earth. Mays, a popular poster on X, put this up. My wife is a nurse. She was pregnant during the pandemic. Her best friend is also a nurse, and she too was pregnant during the pandemic. She and her husband had been trying for a long time, and this was their first. They were both well into their pregnancies when the hospital that they work for started mandating full-time employees get vaccinated. The hospital was pushing the vaccine so hard, and the rhetoric was so crazy that they both worried if it would even deliver their babies if they were not vaccinated. That's how scared they, meaning the hospital, the government, Anthony Fauci, Pfizer, and the whole frickin' evil, disgusting, jackass crew made people. My wife and I decided immediately there was no chance she was getting vaccinated. While carrying our baby, she was only a couple months from giving birth, so she tried to stall. She filed for an extension. It was denied. She used whatever PTO she had, then quit full-time and went part-time. And there was a big consequence to that. She made it through, gave birth to our beautiful, healthy, love of my life, baby boy, vaccine-free. That's the good part of the story. That's the positives part of the story. Two parents said, no, we're not getting the vaccine. We'll put our future on the line. You'll find out. They did. But she's not taking the clot shot and infecting our unborn son. Continuing on with the story, my wife's friend was just a couple months away from giving birth when she succumbed to the pressure to get vaccinated. She and her husband had already set up their daughter's room. They named her Penelope. She was full term when she started having stomach pains. She thought she was in labor, so she went to the hospital. No kidding. The doctor told her her baby was no longer alive. They induced labor, and she delivered a dead little girl. Afterwards, the doctor told her that a blood clot caused the death of their baby. Now, you wonder why I and gazillions of others call it the clot shot. That was another thing. Anthony Fauci, CDC, Harvard Medical, every hospital putting pressure on their employees. No, you can't come to work. If you don't get the clot shot. Don't care if you're pregnant or what. When my wife's friend sees our son, she still gets emotional. Because her daughter would have been the same age as him. This is 6 years later. It breaks our hearts to see her still so heartbroken. What happened during the pandemic was pure evil. Mays is putting it lightly. He and his wife and her son lived it. On top of that, wife said when she went to temporary employee status, she gave up in a year she would have invested in the pension fund, she gave that up. Just so her son would have a chance at life. She didn't succumb to the pressure. Unfortunately, her best friend and a nurse and her husband did. And I can just, well, no, I can't. I can't imagine, like May said, the pain she goes through, and her husband, when they look at Maze's child and their daughter Penelope never got 1 nanosecond of life because of the rhetoric of Margaret Brennan of CBS News, who was berating Jay Bhattacharya on the Sunday news shows of that foul Anthony Fauci, or Joe Biden, or Rochelle Klein-Lewinsky, or the whole rest of the freaking crew. How many more times was this story repeated? They were told, oh, you got to get the vaccine. Oh, it's no danger. In fact, if you don't get the vaccine, your kid will probably die. You'll kill grandma. Your unborn kid will die. When they knew it was exactly the opposite. That amount of evil, hard-heartedness, I just cannot, and I could go on and on. And if I do, it'll probably be my last time on air because the expletives will fly. I really hope, and I think so far in my 65 plus years on the top side of the grass, and I hope before I'm looking to the roots of the grass, that I will never have as hard a heart. I will never diminish my fellow human beings to the point of telling them, oh, especially when I know that what I'm telling them is not only a danger to them, their kids, their unborn kids, and the future of humankind, that I would throw that all away for a dollar bill or a future. Thank goodness Mays and his wife, under threats of that, she gave up her vested pension benefits to have a healthy baby boy. And I bet you she would do that every day of the week and 9 times on Sunday. Unfortunately, her best friend, also a nurse, didn't make that choice. And again, Penelope never saw 1 nanosecond of life on Earth. Thanks to these, and I'm going to put it as nicely as I can, evil people. I don't know how they live. I don't know. And again, I hope I never have hard enough heart or outlook, or will compromise to the point. Not only telling something, but berating people to do this. I know people in the media, they took the money. And when they took the money for the ads, they had to say, oh, the vax is great, even when they knew. Even when what they knew would wind up that a little girl named Penelope would be dead, born dead. Man. I don't know how it gets worse than that, really. On top of that, Donald J. says, you know what? We're going to drill, baby, drill, onshore, offshore, up and down California, till it's bled out. Here is the Fox 11 report. If this ridiculous stuff will play.
coast is under threat. State leaders sounding the alarm as a new federal review could pave the way for offshore drilling. Fox 11's Christina Gonzalez live now in Santa Monica. Christina?
Yeah, where they are actually holding a hearing, and this would actually challenge a legislation signed over 50 years ago by the federal government, giving states most of the control over the waters on its border. Not only California, Florida, North and South Carolina. Recently, they all said no to more requests by the federal government for offshore oil drilling. So we have the hearings today. Listen.
Anybody here care about the California coast?
Rallying outside the Santa Monica Hilton.
I would hope everyone would care about the California coast, our future, and remind you, that was Richard E. Nixon, Republican, working with Moonbeam Brown and the others to screw us over 50 frickin' years ago that got all this stuff shut off. They got no drilling and this and that, no, the environment and all that other crapiola. Here we go.
Where the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, is holding public hearings responding to a federal request to reevaluate California's coastal management program. The Trump administration wants more control in issues like offshore oil drilling, including pipelines, but also desalination plants. Coastal oversight has been mostly up to the states for over 50 years.
This is the first administration moving aggressively to expand new offshore oil drilling.
Yes. Yes, Mr. A-hole. I want to see a frickin' oil derrick every 100 feet from San Diego to frickin' Eureka and to Seattle. I don't want to see people dying because they don't have energy to feed themselves, to get the medicine they really need to survive. Energy defines your quality of life, whether that be health, wealth, or anything else, you frickin' fool.
Environmental disasters like the devastating 2015 Refugio Santa Barbara oil spill have soured California to expanding offshore oil drilling. But it's not just environmentalists sounding the alarm, it's business groups.
Oh, gosh, I can't take any more of that. My head will literally explode. They're only and it is, even if we go back to Neanderthal man, go back as far as you want. We know that we had environmental disasters, we had pollution in Southern California when there was no oil drilling or no cars or no nothing, hardly. These flippin' morons are really going to wind up killing us all. Train robbers are back in the IE. Shots fired during train burglary in the Cajon Pass. I thought we were done with that. Here's the ABC7 report.
Burglars were after when they broke into a train and fired shots at officers in the Cajon Pass. Around 6:30 last night, officers for the Burlington Northern and Santa Fe Railway took incoming fire from burglars trying to steal from the train in San Bernardino County. No officers were hurt, nor were any crew members on the train. The railway did not give us any more specifics, including what the burglars may have been after. At last check, the burglars had not been found.
You know, with all your tutti-frutti environmentalism or defund no cops, you know, every ill is because of the straight white male. This whole freaking rhetoric is why
Robin love
you get this whole ridiculous stuff like that. Now train robberies are coming back. I suppose they're going to cheerlead that. Because if we get, let's get rid of the cops, DSA stuff, which is coming and is here in the Inland Empire. Eloise Reyes, Corey Canine Hating Jackson, Ulysses Baby Jesus Cabrera. The list goes on. They are infiltrating our local governments here, there, and 2-4, and their future for you is that of baby Penelope. If you don't conform with us, if we decide you are obsolete, you're gone. Everyone, if they don't, you know, you all are addicted to the 3x5 screen and watch that, and it's in there in the archives. Go to The Twilight Zone, 1961, The Obsolete Man. You think you're going to join in with these guys and they're going to protect you? Just like the parents of baby Penelope. They thought, we're just going to succumb to the system and we'll be all right and we'll keep our pension benefits and stuff. And what happened? Baby Penelope was born dead. Mays and his wife, who stood up to the establishment, said, no, hell no, take away our pension benefits, take away our home, take away everything. We're not going to have our baby boy subject to this ish. We'll sacrifice everything. And today they have a healthy 6-year-old son. My heart goes out to the parents of baby Penelope, and that choice that they made was made by millions and gazillions and bazillions. And I'm not saying they're bad people for doing it. A lot of people got talked into that because of the constant bombardment of, if you don't take the clot shot, we're all gonna die. Fear. They played on your fear. Thank goodness there was George Washington and the 3 Percenters in 1776. Thank God there's Mays and his wife and many others who will stand up. Hopefully we'll be back to where the majority are listening to us, that are standing up for you and telling you the truth, and not letting them roll you over like a steamroller smashing down asphalt. That'll do it for today. As we usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here in 23 hours. Why? You're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Till then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid program. Views and claims expressed.
All right, Roy. Well, yeah. We'll see what happens in the next couple days. God knows.
That's it.
Yeah, these communists are getting worse by the day.
That is the fact, Jack.
And the scariest part is there's people voting for him even more. That's what I don't get, man.
That is a very scary, disconcerting part about this whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. Communists and Sharia law. That's what this country's going to end up in. God help us all.
You got that right.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
See you.